then today, Don Truell and Lawrence Elkins. We're now joined by U.S. Olympian KC Lightfoot, Baylor, who's home in Missouri on SicEm365 Radio. What was more difficult, Casey, qualifying to be a part of the United States Olympic team with the 2 or 3 days afterwards?
Oh, man, I don't know. That's a tough question. I kind of have to say the qualifying for the team, but right afterwards is tough. I mean, you get real busy. You got to go through team processing, a lot of phone calls, but it's all part of the journey. But I would say the qualifying was probably the harder part.
What does it mean to you to see so many other Baylor people, whether they're, Brittany Griner, who was here a long time before you were, or people that you know from track and field on your own team making the roster?
Hey, that's all you can really hope for sure. Obviously, I would wish that all of us could make the Olympic team, but it's nice to see my boy Will London was out there, and we made the World Championship team together in 2019, so it's always nice to go out there and compete and make a team with him. And that's like I said, that's all you can ask for. You always hope the best for your teammates, and thankfully, I know we got a few Baylor grads that are going to be on the team, so it'll be fun to hang out in the Olympic Village with all of them.
KC, when do you first remember having the Olympic dream?
Oh man, it's been a long time. I guess most careers, you don't start at a really young age. You don't start thinking that big, but it came on pretty early. I'd probably say, beginning of high school for sure, maybe middle school.
Casey, you hear of growing up, of course, depends on the age of who we're talking about. You grow up, you put a baseball glove on, or you have a ball in your hand, or you dribble a basketball, or you want to throw a football or whatever. Not many grow up and start talking about playing or being a part of competing in the pole vault. I still think the sport's crazy. I think that particular event is somewhat, you have to have a certain mentality that most Americans don't have. Was there ever a time when or how long until the first time you ran down the lane, stuck that pole in the whatever it is, did you get to the point where it was a natural thing for you?
I grew up playing all the baseball, basketball, football, whatever. I grew up doing that. But yeah, pole vaulting was definitely unique. And I started whenever I was about 13. And it was never because you got to remember, if you start and you're only jumping 7, 8 foot, so it's a lot different than jumping 19, 20 foot. Mm-hmm. So it never felt too weird. I guess you could say, yeah, it was weird at first, but whenever you're only jumping 7 foot, it's a lot different. So it wasn't that abnormal, but from an outside view, looking at it now, it's one of the craziest things you could think of.
Yeah, did you ever think what crazy person thought this up?
I think it started as actually more for a distance thing. I think it started, people were using sticks and jumping over river canals, but whoever's idea it was to start going for height, I don't know what he was thinking. That was not the brightest idea.
Yeah, I said this one time. Think about running down a runway or whatever it is to stick a stick in the ground in a hole and then hope it launches you in the air. It's just it's not the normal thing that people do every day. How critical is the pole? How critical is the pole? It's like you have golfers who hit certain type of irons, drivers, they hit certain golf balls, the equipment for others, even cars or whatever else. How dynamic is that as a part of it? How critical is a special pole?
I guess without a pole, it'd be like playing golf without a golf club completely. It's what you have to have it. But everybody's kind of unique in their way. We're all kind of on different poles, and we all have different brands. But it's pole vaulting for a reason. You can't do it without that thing. So, a lot goes into the mechanics to be able to use the pole in the correct way. But without it, we'd just be high jumping.
You decided to turn pro early. You had won the indoor championship and were also on your way to doing much, much more, and you made the decision. That's been chronicled for the last couple of months. What have you done other than qualify for the Olympic team? What's that like, life after college and trying to become and turning professional?
Yeah, it was definitely a big change in my life for sure. I was still finishing the year up because I still had a year or two of eligibility left, but there just wasn't a whole lot more that I could do in college. I I broke the collegiate record 3 times indoors. I won NCAAs. I won conference 4 times. And I mean, it's all really cool stats and everything that you can put on your resume. But I mean, whenever you look at it, it's the point that I was kind of at. You don't make, I mean, I made $0 from doing all of that. So whenever you have an opportunity to try to do what you've always kind of wanted to do and make a living from it, I mean, it was a hard decision for sure. But I mean, it was the time for me, and when opportunities come, you got to take them.
How important was Coach Richards in your development and your time at Baylor?
I mean, it was a typical athlete-coach relationship. I mean, you can't do anything without a coach. So, I mean, we spent a lot of time together. We worked through a lot of things, but still love Coach Richards. But it was time for me to move on, and that's just how it happened to be. But we had a good relationship, and I mean, we did a lot, and we accomplished a lot together.
When you set that goal of being an Olympian, and then when it became official, when that happened, I guess, what was it, Monday night or so, when that happened, what was the immediate thought when you hit the pad?
Oh man, I don't know, because it was still an intense part of the competition. I think there were still 5 people in, but I made 85 on my first attempt, and that put me up into a contending spot. I think I was tied for second, and that's what I ended at. And I mean, there was definitely a lot of emotions after that jump, but I couldn't just let them all out, because just in case Ludwig or Wooten made 85 or something, I still would have had to jump for a spot. But I mean, after the competition was over, after 85 was done, we were all kind of standing there. I was talking to Chris and Sam, and we were like, "Hey, I think we're the three going," and then it was high fives kind of all around, and it was a fantastic experience.
That's a less intense moment than you think. Like, oh, hey, is it us? All right, great. But then you have the intense moments coming up when you get to Tokyo. KC, you are from Kansas City. You spent a lot of time in Texas. That means that I know that you probably can't do this a lot because you're training for the Olympics and
you're not going there. You're going to barbecue.
I have to eat protein paste or something. But Kansas City barbecue, Texas barbecue, pros and cons. Which way do you lean?
Oh man, you can't be asking me that question. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna be honest. I probably had more Texas barbecue than I have had Kansas City barbecue.
Okay,
but I do believe that Kansas City barbecue might be better. Not in all aspects, though.
It's hard to pick because Kansas City does the burn ends so well.
Exactly.
Yeah, Texas has really good ribs and brisket.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough. That's why I wanted your opinion. And you don't have to take a side. Nobody's voting. So yeah,
you just lost your passport into Texas. But Casey, being in that Kansas City area, and obviously your initials KC. Not take something for granted. What does KC stand for?
It actually doesn't stand for anything. I mean, it just kind of be a CASEY or however else you want to spell it, but we just happen to spell it a little different. The ongoing joke is my father was a kindergarten teacher for 29 years, and we just told him that's as far as he could spell it out. So we just stuck with 2 letters.
I love that. What has your family, what's this been like for them, watching all the dedication, the time, the energy, the money, the travels, all of that, and then being able to see their son is on the Olympic team?
I mean, I don't know exactly what they're thinking, but I mean, I could imagine kind of what they're seeing. I mean, I had both my parents full of tears of joy the other day. So, I mean, it's a good feeling for me. It's a good feeling for them. It's nice to just be able to see that all this hard work is starting to pay off and how dreams are starting to come true. So, I mean, if I had to speak for them, I'd say they're pretty happy.
Well, one more thing, because we had Will London III on, and he talked about the day or two after, as you mentioned, all the decompression, the compartment, all the phone, whatever, paperwork. What happens to you now? What do you do now between now and eventually you head to Tokyo? What's in your agenda?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just a lot of training. I mean, it's just hitting it hard until Tokyo. I think I'm gonna go do a couple meets over in Europe in a week or two, and then probably come back and then just get ready for Tokyo.
Thank you, Casey. Congratulations. Oh, Armstrong, do you want to add what you told me about him? Yeah, because I asked you earlier today, I said, you've heard Casey. He was on the earlier show for 2 or 3 different times during the year when you were breaking records, and you said something about what the kind of person you thought he was.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying from his appearances on Uptempo, he just seemed like a really genuine guy, really well-raised, very well-spoken, and I just, did not seem like you're talking to a college kid, really, when you talk to him.
You hear that, Casey?
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Congratulations, and go represent. I know you will, and enjoy it. Enjoy it as much as you can. Thanks,
I
buddy.
will.
All
I'll
right.
give him my all. Thank you.
He's headed to practice. KC Lightfoot, U.S. Olympic pole vaulter. Of all the sports, I don't think I could do that one.
Well, y'all are confused about even like the pole, and that's interesting though. I mean, you'd think that they just grab any old pole and go out there, but
Like a guy who plays billiards, everyone has a different type of stick, right?
He said, he's like, well, if I didn't have a pole, I'd just be a high jumper. So, I don't think he really knew what to say to that, but yeah, I mean, it's a weird sport. I mean, I don't know if they invented that trying to cross a river back in the day or what, but it's a unique sport, and those that are good at it are fun to watch, and he's one of them. So best of luck to him in Tokyo.
I don't know if that's how they invented the pole vault. They had some big piece of bamboo and they stuck it in the ground to go over a river.
Yes, that's how they were doing it. In England, there are all these, they drained all these canals or created these canal systems and created all these marshes. So for people to get over them, they had to, pole vault. Now, granted, they weren't going 19 feet in the air. It was, 4 or 5 feet, but, that was how it kind of came. And then somebody said, hey, what if we did this over a thing? That'd be something,
Like over a thing.
Like over a thing.
It's sort of like anything else. Guys are just bored of doing it all the time, and then all of a sudden you put a little money on it, and then you're like, oh, I bet I can get higher than you can. And the next thing you know, if somebody brings a pole out, and then you got a whole sport that's been started.
How many times have you been in your life stuck somewhere because of the weather when you were with your buddies, can't go out because it's raining, and they're like, all right, first person to knock 3 cans over with a penny, wins, and you just invent a game. The dream of everyone who does that would get the game to the Olympics. The pole vaulting guy did it.
Yeah.
And it's unique. I mean, compared to the other track and field events, especially, you got mostly running, and then you've got, a few tossing, whether it be like the hammer throw or the shot put or whatever. But the pole vault is fun to watch, and good to have him on, and good for him. I mean, to be able to go to Tokyo, be able to go represent the greatest country in the entire world, the United States of America, and wear that red, white, and blue is got to be really cool. And it'll only be cooler if you can, get on that podium, which I know he's going to try to do. But just the experience in and of itself, I think, would be incredibly special to be a part of that.
Sergei Bubka. I remember how good he was from the Ukraine back many years ago, back in fact, 94 when had the record. Sam Kendricks of the United States has the highest jump or vault. And then Armand Duplantis from Italy is right now the world record holder, it appears to be. I can't tell if that's the highest or not. Yeah,
I believe he's from Sweden.
Sweden? What did I say?
Yeah, that's definitely Sweden's flag.
Oh, Sweden. I was looking at where it was. He did that in Italy. Okay. All right, it's 3:26 when we come back. Line open at 254-339-1120.